Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are performer Jude Narita and actor John Colella. Actor, writer, producer Jude Narita was born and raised in Long Beach. After graduating from high school and City College, she went to UCLA. She then studied acting at the Strasberg Institute and at Stella Adler's studio in Los Angeles and New York. And this award-winning performer, Jude, has portrayed Asian American women on stage for the last 20 years. Did you come from a performing family?
I did not, but we're so close to Hollywood that when I would audition, I could only audition for Asian parts, and then I would be told I was the wrong type of Asian.
After you studied?
Right.
And then you're the wrong kind of Asian?
I'm too tall, I'm too dark, I don't fit the writer's idea of a fantasy Asian little geisha flower.
That's great, isn't it?
So there were just limited images out there, and it was hard enough being told you couldn't be the neighbor or the teacher or anything. The only way Asians were in projects is if it was plot specific, meaning there were drugs, it was a Vietnamese village, and then later on, newscaster. But to go up and then wait for those parts, and then all the Asian actresses would go in for them. We all knew each other. And there was such a physical criteria. You had to look a certain way and be a certain height and be a certain type, and I was totally outside that.
But you were born here. Were they looking for someone with an accent?
No. There was
really.
just, because most of the projects were being written by white men,
right.
There was a sort of an idea of what an Asian woman was like from movies and stories, and it was a small, delicate flower. So I started.
You proved
so
that
out of the box. So I realized that it was not the writer's fault. It was that there were not any more images. So I started creating more images and putting them out there.
That's
more
what
characters.
I was going to ask you. Why did you start writing your own material? That's why.
That's why. And I took stereotypes that were quite hurtful or quite inhuman, and I made them human.
Did you do those? Did you do that writing when you were at the Adler workshop or Strasberg?
No.
What were you doing there? Just straight acting?
I was doing,
white parts?
Yes, and it would be a jarring for even my classmates to watch, because I'd be doing Williams, or I'd be doing Chekhov or something, and it would just be jarring with my face and that language. So I would, and at that time, because I was trying to fit into the system, I thought, and this is how bizarre when I look back on it, I used to think that I was such a good actress that I will make you forget what I look like. And you will just take the journey with the character. But it's not radio.
I know, but don't you think that can happen? That's why I think that just because a part is written for me, why can't you act it?
Of course, but
and it looks like you then, right?
No,
it doesn't.
But of course, and that's what they call this colorblind casting.
Okay,
but it is still jarring for the audience, and they're aware of this, of this type of casting. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to say words on stage where my instrument, my body, my face, made those words stronger and lifted those words.
So you've created a lot of one-woman plays.
Yes.
And you've
characters.
Yes, and the characters as well. And you've put your face on all of the different faces on those characters.
Yes, different accents too, because there was this general.
That's what I was wondering about, accent.
General concept of an Asian character wearing glasses, having tons of cameras around their necks, owns a grocery store, came over on a boat, is good in math,
gardening,
doesn't rock the boat, is kind of goofy or kind of, sexy
Oh,
if
but
it's
there's
a woman.
like so many different things. Have you been in film and on TV?
I audition for things. I've done some indie films. My daughter's a filmmaker, so I've done some of her
You've
films.
worked for her?
Well, I like to think I would have gotten the part even if I wasn't her mother.
Oh, okay. But who is Darling Narita?
She's my daughter.
Oh, that is your daughter.
Yes, yes.
Oh, because in your biography your biography it says that you've been in films and with Darling Narita,
Yes.
and I thought that's where the show business came from. You passed yours down to her instead of the other way.
My family has been very supportive. My mother puts on jazz concerts in New York. She has for 50 years. She's very famous there, Kobe Narita.
Oh, so that's
And
why you had a little bit of the stage.
I
in
did.
your-
I mean, my family, when my mom was a child, they were put in the internment camps. So when she came out, she really wanted us to have everything American. Like
even though
lessons,
she wasn't upset
music.
about it.
Oh, I think they were, but they
But they
sort of
still
moved
assimilated, didn't they? Right
Yes,
away.
Yes. Well, they were Americans before they went into the camps.
Oh, they weren't.
So that's why the whole apology was signed by Reagan and, the reparation. But it still was an event that sort of fractured the Japanese American families for a while.
Yes.
But she gave us opportunities in all the arts.
Your mother.
And this is kind of rare, I find, with my friends my age, that because when you turn on the television and you don't see someone that looks like you or your children, you go, don't go into that business. Go become a lawyer or a doctor.
Right.
Doctor. Become a doctor.
That's what the Japanese families wanted. Doctors.
They wanted their children to focus on areas where they could get hired. So whenever a young Asian American person brings their parent up to meet me after seeing one of my shows, I always know what they brought them for a reason, that they want them to see this event where a person that looks like them is the center and the reason for it. But they also want their parents to see that you can make a living in the arts.
The children bring their parents.
Students, college students.
Yeah, students bring their parents to show that they can make a difference.
Because even
I
in
see what you're
college,
saying.
they're not always getting cast in the college productions, and this is very hard. They'll feel, and I just tell them, the world is big. The world is very big, and this is just information gathering time. Don't let this defeat you.
That's great advice. You have won all kinds of awards, Drama Log and Vesta and James Wong Howe, which I think is fantastic. He was a great cinematographer, photographer.
Yes, and the LA Drama Critics Award.
And the LA Drama, and that was for Passion?
It was for Coming Into Passion, Song for Sanse, my first show, which ran for almost 2 years in LA.
That's amazing.
In a small little theater, and my friends came.
For 2 years, how could you keep it up for 2 years?
It was bare bones. My friends and my family helped me, and wonderful support. Elizabeth Iannacci would come before her singing telegrams and take tickets as Marilyn and then go off and do her singing telegram, or my brother was running the lights, my cousin ran the sound.
Oh, that's
I would sweep out the stage.
But people would keep changing it after 2 years.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
people were coming and going, weren't they?
They were. They had to get on with their lives. But it was just that
and
I got so much feedback from people. There was a point early on, people would come to this small theater, and they would send me money. They all would get money in the mail, and I was remembered in somebody's will.
Is that right?
Because they just wanted me to continue.
Well, tell us why. Who were the women in that play?
It was
Coming Into Passion.
It was a newscaster who was very cut off from her heritage and what she looks like. She wants to be white, and so she reads a story about, or reports on this story about a Vietnamese young girl who's kidnapped from her village, and this is a true incident, and taken. They even made a movie out of it, and taken with these GIs, and then she's raped repeatedly, and then she's finally killed, and. So she says, well, that's terrible, but it has nothing to do with me. I'm American. And then she goes to sleep, and she becomes in her dreams a Vietnamese bargo prostitute, a Filipino mail-order bride.
Do you use different props or
I
costumes
use
or
slight,
wigs?
Yes, no, not wigs,
No
but
wigs.
I do change my costume a little bit, very fast. I have really beautiful lights, minimal props like a stool, or I think in the first one we had a bed, a small bed.
And what about your voice?
I changed my voice because it's different accents. So I had a Nisei woman who was put in the camps as a young child, and she has has that don't rock the boat, low profile, don't cause trouble, and be nice, don't argue. And she has to learn to stand up for herself. And it was built around the very first monologue I wrote, which was being called yellow.
Oh.
And being able to claim that and make it something good as opposed to being ashamed and saying yellow, I'm
Right.
double that, I'm golden.
Right.
And go
yeah.
take the high road.
But you've taught. You were in Singapore, right?
I've taught in LA. I actually teach whenever I go on universities if there's time.
Do you? You'll do
And
a workshop or
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
and Poland.
And in Singapore.
And Singapore and Poland.
Poland, they were pretty tight. I didn't get to teach, but we did talk to the audiences.
But did you do
afterwards.
you did a show there?
Yes,
You've done
I did.
shows in those places.
Yes.
How do you get booked into those places?
Well, it's surprising. LA, a lot of people come to LA for vacation. My show ran through 2 summers.
That's
so
right. It was
people
24.
came.
You're right.
People came and they took me, and the show was running when I would go out. I'd have to go out in the middle of the week to these different places, Minnesota, Kentucky, different places. And I also, this is how long ago it's been. I went to the library and I got a book on colleges. I went in the back, I looked in the back, and I looked up every college that had Asian American studies, women's studies, ethnic studies, multicultural
How
departments.
brilliant that is,
And I
though.
wrote them letters because this is not computerized at the
No,
time.
how smart that was, though, to target those places.
Yes, and targeted them around LA also. And then it's a big business about touring. Like they have booking conferences.
Right.
So I did go to those about 2 or 3 years after I was touring.
Oh, I see. Then you did Passion that we talked about. You did Stories Waiting to be Told.
Right.
How different was that from the other things?
There were a lot of people who said things, because we'd always do a Q&A after the show. And people would say, are you ever going to do this? Are you ever going to do that? Are you ever going to do this? So I took a lot of that. The second show is always tougher.
It is?
Yes,
Seems
because
it
in the
would be
first
easier.
show, in the first show, you don't know what you can't do.
I
The
see.
second show, you want it to be, especially if the first show. This is how amazing the first show was. I toured around the United States, and I thought standing ovations were what you get when you do a good show. And I didn't realize that that's what the audience gifts you when they love your show. And it's sort of interesting because they take a journey with me on any one of my shows, and they sort of feel like they know me. So a lot of people hug me afterwards, or they'll talk to me, or send me letters.
That's so great. But you're at the Miles right now.
I'll be there.
Jude Narita and friends. So do you take these friends from any of your other plays?
This is the first time I've done this. I'm doing a show that's about an hour. Usually my shows are an hour and a half.
Right.
So I just thought, I have the space, I'm renting the space, I'm going to produce some of my friends that I adore. So I got in touch with artists who are really wonderful. It's very expensive.
So they're real friends.
Real friends, yeah. It's very
They're not
expensive.
made-up friends.
No. I know them all. We support each other.
But they're actually in the play with you. You're not playing them?
They get to perform. I'm giving them space for 10, 15 minutes to work, to do anything they want. And I'm paying them. I'm doing all the PR. I'm producing it. So it's an opportunity for them to be seen in LA, and doesn't cost them. They don't have to rent a space because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
I have Dan Kwong, Denise Uehara's flying into town. I have 2 amazingly wonderful musicians, Dawin and Sujin. And then we're showing my daughter's film, Darling
Do they
Narita.
come at different times? Or
Yes.
They're all on. So
No, they come
one
at
day
different
you'll
times.
have, 2 or 3 people, different friends?
2 people.
2
2
friends.
people, yes.
So you do part of your show?
I do my whole show.
Oh, you do your whole
So it's a whole evening. We have 2 artists. We show a short film. There's an intermission, and then I do From the Heart.
And Miles is right, Wilshire and Lincoln around?
Lincoln. Just as you cross Wilshire on Lincoln, there's the park, and it's right in the park next to the court. I think they're tennis courts.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's the one building there.
So it's a lovely theater.
It's a beautiful, beautiful. I think it's an historic building.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you talk only about Asian women's problems, but those compared to any other ethnic group would
Exactly.
probably be the same.
Anybody's actually, because I've gone to places where Middle America, I've gone to Middle
Oh,
America.
it doesn't even have to be ethnic, does it?
The thing about theater, the magic about theater, if it works, is that the audience all of a sudden will become this character or relate to this character.
Relate to that.
So if I'm able to present a human character, it just at first the accent may be off-putting, or my face may be a little bit like, oh, you're so different, and then all of a sudden as the monologue goes on, they go, that's just like my sister, or that's just like my mother.
Because they're listening to you and they're putting themselves.
Yes, exactly. So
but you do Korean?
I do Cambodian, Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, Native, and American.
Are they
both.
all different accents?
They are. It'd be like Swedish and Danish and Norwegian and Italian.
So Chinese would be, how do you get into that role?
No. She's not the good girl. You know, it's a much more.
And Japanese, because you don't have a Japanese accent.
Japanese is a little different. Let's see.
Oh, you just said it, Japanese.
Japanese is a little bit softer, maybe sometimes, and it's a little bit.
Oh, you can see the difference.
Yeah, you can. But I mean, I'm saying they come very close. So I personally tape people, and I pick accents that are far away, like.
And Korean.
Korean is much more. It has a harsher tone to it. It can.
But
now,
see, I just saw you. Your whole
right.
body changed, and you went into that harsher thing like that. Interesting, because you wouldn't. I don't think we would notice that unless you had them all together like that.
And I think what's hard for people, for Asian Americans, is to see what exists before, just this generic Asian mishmash.
Right.
And it's almost a little disrespectful that the writer didn't do the research. But that's, I have to say in defense of any writer, they have their own personal agenda. And I waited, as a good little actor, I waited a long time for somebody to write something beautiful for Asians. And I realized you have to step up and do it yourself, because that's my agenda, to create.
Oh, that's right.
To create images that honor my brothers, my mother,
your family,
yes,
your relatives,
truly look like them, that are not like Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's,
right.
or something. And he didn't mean it disrespectful, but to us it is. It's not. It's insulting. So rather than just sit back and complain, go out and put more images out there
and do it. And that's what you did.
And do it with love. Do it with not exclusion. Like, people come and they feel very included in the audience. Not even when I did my last play was about Vietnam, and Walk the Mountain, and it was about the Vietnamese, because America tends to demonize whoever we're fighting,
right?
And we don't realize that they have their own perspective. Like the whole fighting in Vietnam went on for hundreds of years, thousands of years, for their independence, and at one point they were Ho Chi Minh was an ally during World War II. So, it's like we are robbed of our history and our pride in our history sometimes, when in American history it's only one side is presented. Like, I used to hate to go to school on December 7th.
Oh, because of
But they did not teach about the relocation, the internment camps, or the 442, the highest.
No, they never did.
Decorated battalion, which my uncle was in,
right.
and my whole family was in the camps,
right.
and they didn't talk about it.
Well, I'm so glad you brought all of this information to us today. That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with actor John Colella. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with actor John Colella, who was born and raised in Chicago. His acting training started at Illinois State University and then continued at the Goodman School of Drama at DePaul University, where he got his Bachelor of Fine Arts. You've seen John on the stage. In fact, when he was in Desperate Characters, he was nominated as Best Actor in a Comedy. I didn't know you were a comedian. I thought you were really serious.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
His TV work includes roles in CSI New York, Will and Grace, The West Wing, and he has a body of film work. Did you know you wanted to act when way far back?
I fell into it in high school when because I was born right in Chicago proper, so there
Fantastic
wasn't a lot
theater,
but we moved out to the burbs like right around the time when I was in the 3rd grade. So I didn't really play spring sports.
Oh,
so when I had high school, The West Side Story happened to be the musical, so I thought, hey, that might be fun to jump in and be a gang member.
You're
or something.
Oh, a gang member.
Right.
Oh, I was going to say.
But being Italian in the burbs of Chicago, a pretty white school, I actually ended up being Bernardo, the leader of the Sharks, and so it goes. I got hooked then, and I continued.
So no one else in your family was?
Not before. I found out later my father sang when he was in the Army, which I didn't know
so
until
you
I got
had
into
that,
it. My
yeah.
mother danced, but I didn't know that until I was, I fell into it myself. Then I found out. My brother actually also went on, and he was on Broadway in Les Mis for a good year and then toured the country with it.
So you guys have voices.
Yeah, we have some voices. Yeah,
You have
in
some
the family.
voices there.
We do.
Well, the Goodman School is great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And how did you decide to transfer there?
Well, that's what happens. When I went to Illinois State, I went there because the Steppenwolf Company kind of came out of there. I mean, a lot
came
of their
out of
founding
Illinois
members.
State?
Yeah, like I think John Malkovich didn't finish his degree, but a lot of those teachers there
gone there.
claimed for him and everything. So I went there for other reasons, minored in theater, and when I got serious about it in that first year is when I thought, you know what, I think I want to take this up a notch, and I auditioned at the Goodman, got in, and I started over.
So
actually.
it's not like a school where you just apply, you have to audition
You must.
too.
It's a conservatory. It's a four-year professional
I see,
conservatory program. Yeah, yeah.
I see. So when you went and you finished that program, did you go to New York or you come to LA?
I actually came
Or
to
stayed
LA.
in Chicago.
I stayed. That's what I did at first. I stayed for a year. I did a lot of local theater there.
Which is fantastic. Did
wonderful.
you work at Steppenwolf?
I didn't. In that first year, like their seasons and stuff were picked. The Goodman itself and Steppenwolf are two of the tougher houses to get in Chicago. But there's so much wonderful sort of underground's probably too strong of a word, but lots of great small theaters in Chicago. So I did a lot of that work. And then got cast on The Untouchables, which was shooting a syndicated TV show after the movie was such a hit again. And I recurred on that for a while.
In Chicago?
In Chicago.
Oh, so that was lucky.
Yeah, very lucky to land on that. And then that's what led me to come on out to LA.
So you came to LA. Did you think of going to New York?
I toyed with it a little bit, but at the time, the advice I received from those I got counsel from thought that would be a harder place where there's more of me in New York as opposed to, say, in LA.
Same kind of character, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
sort of an
people
Italian guy from the neighborhood kind of deal.
But did your brother go before you or after you?
My brother's younger. He went after. He actually got cast out of a regional audition in Chicago, and then they brought him to Broadway to start there. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah.
That's such a great play. I love that anyway. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So when you came out, did you get an agent right? Well, you must have if you had some TV work behind you.
I did do that. I was fortunate enough to. I've always pretty much had representation, which has been, which is nice.
But do you think that's from coming out of a good school like that you've got some
I honestly think
networking?
I found that I think agent-wise that training doesn't necessarily really mean a lot to them. That's
They
a
don't.
generalization.
Okay.
My agent currently now, who I've been with for years, she's different. She appreciates it. She appreciates
That
the
you've
range.
worked, I
yes,
see.
absolutely.
So it doesn't have that underground
No,
kind
I think
of
if maybe
thing.
you came out of Juilliard or something really, really high profile. I mean, for the Midwest, the Goodman is really,
I
the
think it's
place.
tops, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's still, this industry, it's interesting. The training part of it, not necessarily as concerned.
You keep saying, I'm the Italian guy. Let's talk about those other characters because to be nominated as a comedian, you're not, the burb.
No, this was
Italian guy.
Right, exactly. These were one acts that they put together, but I was still I got nominated for the role. I was a hot dog vendor. Do you know what I
So
mean?
you're a funny hot
I had
dog
a little street vending cart, the whole deal. But it was a great little piece, and it went really, really well, and I was honored to be nominated for that.
So what other characters do you play then?
Well, television-wise, I play a lot of cops.
Do you?
Play a lot of cops. I've played, CSI New York. I was a cigar shop owner who, was unwilling to give out information, that kind of stuff. I find edgier, sort of more sarcastic individuals I end up playing a lot. It depends. I think the darker features is what makes me, you get a little more tough guy stuff happens.
Well, you're what character are you in the Shanley play? Italian-American Reconciliation.
I play Aldo Scalichi. Aldo, it's a wonderful play because it breaks the fourth wall. So I actually start off with Aldo coming out. I speak to the audience and invite them to tell them I'm about to tell them a story. I then step into the play and deal with my best friend. The story's about my best friend and what happened to him and me. And it's about my best friend deciding that he needs to go back to a very awful and terrible ex-wife to reconcile, to get something back of him, to move on. I'm against it, and then I try to, get in the way of it by seducing her as opposed to helping him. It's got a lot of comedy throughout the whole thing.
So it's not a 2-actor play.
No, it's five characters.
Oh, it's 5 characters.
5 characters.
And it's written by John Patrick Shanley,
Yes.
who's a Tony winner.
Academy Award winner.
Academy, Oscar winner, and he's gotten the Pulitzer.
Yeah.
How are his words for you to say?
It's wonderful. It's actually, I've gotten a lot of feedback where people notch him up to Shakespeare. It's sort of like modern day Shakespeare. There's so much wonderful dialogue. Everything's on the line, and his characters. It's very Moonstruck-esque. This
Oh,
play.
it is.
Right? He wrote it
Yes,
about a year
it's-
after Moonstruck.
So it does have that kind of little ethereal.
It does. We're talking right. It's
Do you
big
feel like
emotion.
Nick Cage?
Yeah, I guess I can be in a way. I have my moments that way in the play.
Do we have Cher there?
Well, here's the great thing is that our wonderful director, Ray Allen, a Tony Award winner herself, came in, and I found out in rehearsals, which I thought was what a coup. She coached Cher for Moonstruck.
For that role?
So what a great little thing. So we have
And
really
so she knows Shanley.
Oh yeah, sure knows him that way.
And personally?
And personally, she didn't talk too much about him to us, but in terms of, I just felt she's from Brooklyn originally, and she was really the right director for this play.
It's the Reskin Group Theater where you're
Right,
playing. Tell us
right.
where it's located.
It's actually located at 3000 Airport Avenue. It's literally at the Santa Monica Airport.
I know, it's so great.
Right,
I
and
love
it's a
that
great little
building.
space. Yeah, it's a great little space.
And there's so much parking.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's quiet.
Plenty of parking. It's wonderful, and all these little artists are all around and stuff.
There's
and,
art studios.
Yeah, all over that little airport. It's really, really a wonderful find. And actually, Andy Lauer, who I'm in the show with, that's the reason how we worked together about 5 years ago in a play called That May Well Be True. I got connected through Andy to come audition.
But
and this all worked
Reskin,
out.
it's not an ensemble group, is it? Or is it? I don't
yes
know.
and no.
Tell
I mean,
us about
they're
it.
building. They're sort of building that. John has a Meisner school attached to
Oh, he
it also.
does.
That's what it began. Then the theater began around 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
I see.
I am a member. A lot of their members sometimes.
Oh,
come
you
through
are
the
a
school.
member of the
Yes.
Meisner Group or the
of the
Reskin Group?
of the Reskin Group. But a lot of the people that do get involved there sort of are funneled through, say, the school. Other actors like Andy Lauer is not a Meisner student or anything there. So there's a small group of us that are definitely just actors in the group versus those that straddle both.
They have something called cafe plays?
Yeah.
What is that?
Those are wonderful. We do those.
Do you do that? You've
I
done
have,
that too?
yeah. I actually produce them also.
Oh, really?
And we do them every third Sunday of the month. They've been doing those for about 5 years now.
What does it mean, cafe
Well,
plays?
it's a great idea that they came up with previously to me getting involved, but it's 5 writers, 5 professional writers show up. They meet us at Back on Broadway in Santa Monica, who, why am I blanking on Fred's name, hosts it. They all get breakfast.
Oh, it's not at Reskin.
It is, ultimately.
Oh,
it's
it is
a
at
one big
Reskin?
day. But
Okay.
basically, the 5 writers show up.
I see.
There are 10 envelopes. They all have headshots of actors. No resumes, just the headshots.
So it's just impromptu?
Impromptu, we drop all those down. The writers pick 2 headshots. They look at them. They have a theme given to them at that moment. And they have from 9 till about 12:30, 1 o'clock, the latest, to write a 7 to 10 page play based on the theme for those 2 actors.
It's kind of improv, but not improv.
It's like theater on steroids. Like, we hit it hard, and then all of a sudden we grab those plays when they're done. We run to the theater. There are 5 directors. All the actors that know that they're in it, we drop those again. Those 5 directors pick up those
so the directors
envelopes.
then are next involved.
Exactly. And then
Okay.
they pick it up and they get the pictures and they get the play and they grab their actors. They're assigned a space somewhere around the theater, and they have then from about 1:30 till 7:30 we do our first show, and then we do our closing night at 9 o'clock. So we
You're
do 2 shows
kidding.
all in one day. Yeah.
So it starts early in the morning.
And ends
it's
right there
just
at the
like
night.
boot camp.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is it?
It's a real killer. I mean, it's a really wonderful experience. Audiences seem to really, really enjoy it. And
How do you get all these people? I mean, the writers.
the writers, they've been doing it for a while now. That there's a real good core of really great writers that just so enjoy it. And it's their commitment is that morning. They write it, they take off, they come back that night, and they see their play done. You know, it's
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And we just did.
Has anything come out of it?
We did. Well, there's a musical that's going to be put up at the Ruskin very soon. That was started as a cafe play, and we also just did the 5-year anniversary of them. And like Ed Asner directed me in one of the plays. Dylan McDermott performed in one of them. Olivia Dabo. It's been really a great experience.
So how did the actors know? You call your friends and tell them to come?
In terms of getting audience or getting people to do them?
No, getting to do them.
Well, again, the cafe plays is where they usually try to take mostly from the Ruskin Group of people that are committed there, but also people get referred, they can audition, and then what happens is that Mikey and John will put together the 10 actors, say, a week or two before the actual day.
So it's
Those
a
10
long
people,
planned.
right? We plan it out, say, a week or two before. It's been going, so it's a pretty well-oiled machine that way. And then, boom, those 10 people, they know that they're coming. They show up at 1:30, and they just get a play, and they go for it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're on stage.
Yes.
And you could get called for TV or
Right.
whatever to do some role, maybe outside the city. What do you do in a situation like that? Because
Well-
you're a major in this Italian-American reconciliation.
Well, they have understudies, and we actually have an understudy.
No.
We have an understudy that's going on Sunday.
You
because
do?
We do, just because out of a thank you for him putting in all the work. He's Andy's understudy, and we're giving him a matinee.
Because he did.
Because he's done the work, he's been there, and now each understudy we try to give at least a show.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah, there's only one time in all the years that I've been there where I got a commercial on a Friday where I couldn't make it to the show, and unfortunately that show was canceled.
Oh, because sometimes that's what I wonder,
Yeah,
if things
it
like that
can,
have to happen.
But for the most part, we've, in all of the performances I've done there over the years, that's the only time we've ever lost a show.
Do you work at any other theaters?
Right now, I've worked at the McCadden Place Theater and the Actors Workout. I've done stuff at the Odyssey, but right now, that's what I like about the Ruskin, is that it's a really nice home and very artistically satisfying, so I keep just working there.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Do you still take acting lessons?
You know what? I'm actually teaching now. I teach. I've been doing that.
You're teaching.
But like somebody like Ray Allen was it was almost like a master class in itself, this rehearsal process.
Having her direct?
Yeah, absolutely. I told my wife during the process that I said, I feel like I've gone back to the conservatory. She was really a tiger. She was wonderful.
And what is it? Because she pulled everything apart, or
a lot of my experience outside of the Ruskin with Equity Waiver Theater has been where people are kind of doing, they have ideas of what theater is per se. But she's a real...
You mean directors have ideas?
and stuff like what it is or how She's a real nuts and bolts, wonderful director. She's the real deal. So
well, do you think it's better do you think an actor is a better director because he's actually been on stage?
It could be. I mean,
do you
it's
direct?
Possible. I'm being encouraged to do that. That's where the teaching started. But no, I haven't directed as of yet. But
so you teach, but you don't direct.
Right.
So there's different places to go.
Right. I mean, it depends. I mean, there are strong actors. It's one thing to be able to be a good actor that can maneuver their way through something, but to actually help someone realize it is something else.
That's
I think.
Thank you so much for being with
thank
us.
you. It's a pleasure.
I'm so glad you
Pleasure.
were here. And thanks. Keep writing. Email me at jaquinn1@aol.com. JAQUINN1@aol.com, and 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. See you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.